ultra-fast broadband network across New Zealand. The development of this ultra-fast broadband network will be critically important to New Zealand's growth prospects, as it will provide New Zealanders with high-speed, real-time internet connections to the world and will give rise to new enterprise and innovation. In this area of infrastructure investment, as in others, my government will work constructively with the private sector in order to maximise the impact of public investments. In parallel with this commitment to infrastructure investment, my government will undertake a two-step reform of the Resource Management Act. The first stage of this reform will be focused on improving the consent process and will include amendments to streamline and simplify the Act, including priority consenting for projects of national significance. The second stage of this reform will focus on improving decision-making around infrastructure, water and urban design. The goal of both stages of reforms will be to reduce the costs, delays and uncertainties in current law that my government believes are holding back development and job creation. My government is acutely aware that despite the measures I have just outlined, the enormity of the economic challenges that New Zealand faces today are such that unemployment is forecast to rise in the months ahead. It believes that the economic crisis will not be averted by cutting government spending and social support, but rather by backing the everyday New Zealanders who, through their hard work and resilience, will power New Zealand through this recession. In what may be particularly tough times, my government is determined to stay the course with New Zealanders by giving those who have lost their jobs the support they need to get back on their feet. Before Christmas, my government will announce the details of its Transitional Relief Restart package to help those New Zealanders worst hit by redundancy. This package will be carefully targeted and designed to help people who have worked hard and who have big aspirations for the future, but who will be, through no fault of their own, coping with a big financial blow. In this area, as in all others, my government intends that its actions reflect the belief that New Zealand is a country built on a sense of fairness and a sense of our obligations to each other. It is confident that as the steps I have just outlined are taken, the country will be able to push through this downturn and onto a longer-term pathway to stronger growth. In the short term, my government is committed to shoring up the liquidity of the financial system. It will continue to support the retail deposit and wholesale banking government guarantees currently backing our financial sector. Its intention is to continue those guarantees for as long as, but no longer than, they are needed to ensure the effective operation of our banking system. The new government notes that of the $14 billion of assets in the New Zealand Superannuation Fund, less than 25% is currently invested in New Zealand. It believes this fund should be used to invest in our country's future growth and to underwrite our future prosperity. My government will therefore set a target of at least 40% of the super fund to be invested in New Zealand. In addition, it will take steps to ensure that saving is a more affordable choice for more New Zealanders by reducing the minimum employee contributions to KiwiSaver to 2% of an employee's gross salary. My government also wishes to address the issue of New Zealand's low productivity growth and intends to lead by example by carefully examining public spending. It will require that public agencies focus taxpayers' money on the frontline services they have a right to expect, and that public spending is scrutinised to ensure it is deployed to good effect. My government is concerned that for the past several years, the number of people employed in the public service has grown at a rate that has not been matched by a commensurate increase in the level of services provided to the public. Its focus, therefore, will be on improving services to the public and not on increasing the number of public servants engaged in government administration. To that end, it will halt the growth in government bureaucracy and ensure that resources are focused on the provision of frontline services. My government recognises that the public accounts leave little room for new spending over the next few years. It will work hard to make the most out of every dollar so as to deliver high-quality public services and to protect the vulnerable from the sharp edge of a recession. Furthermore, in order to help businesses and employers through this downturn and onto a stronger growth pathway, it will focus on reducing the regulatory and compliance demands that get in the way of productivity growth. In addition to the reforms to the Resource Management Act I outlined earlier, my government will undertake a regulatory review program. This review will identify and remove inefficient and superfluous regulation, and it will ensure that regulations are used sparingly and effectively. As signalled in its confidence and supply agreement with the ACT Party, the government will undertake a review of the emissions trading scheme. My government believes that New Zealand, as a responsible international citizen and as a country that values our clean, green environment, must act to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to confront global climate change. In this area, as in others, it will pursue an appropriate balance between meeting our environmental responsibilities and taking up our economic opportunities. The purpose of the emissions trading scheme review will therefore be to ensure the reduction of emissions in ways that result in the least cost to New Zealand's society and economy. My government acknowledges that efforts to reduce emissions at home must be matched by efforts to reduce emissions abroad. It will honour its Kyoto Protocol obligations, and it will work to achieve further global alliances that build on the goals agreed to at Kyoto. In approaching future international climate change negotiations, it will work with fellow countries on finding a pragmatic